Hello and welcome to the 17 Minutes of Heaven we call the D1 Baseball College World Series preview and pick show. I am your host, Michael Patrick Rooney, and as always in the postseason, we are sponsored by Wilson. If you are in Omaha at the College World Series, you've got to get over to the Baseball Village and see Wilson's Omaha experience. You've got limited edition products from Evo Shield, DeMarini, Louisville Slugger, and Wilson. You can shop for bats and gloves and gear at the Omaha experience. Again, that's in the Baseball Village. If you're not here, you can get online, evoshield.com/Omaha. Again, that's evoshield.com/Omaha. That'll be open all tournament long. But again, the Baseball Village is awesome, and the Wilson Omaha experience over there has been really fun. Our man Jake Mintz got a really killer glove. Our boy Steven Schock's got a Dippin' Dots glove. The swag and the gear are fantastic. Gentlemen, so we've got Fitty Barrels here. We've got Joe Healy, Kendall J. Rogers. Joe, any updates to your top 5 humans who have been in the Hilton Omaha gym?
No, so I will be hitting up the Hilton Omaha gym after we record this. I will let the listeners know tomorrow morning if there's been any updates to my top 5 list. But thank you for circling back.
I might see you down there.
All right.
Well, number 1 ranked Kendall Rogers has spoken.
Thank you. I'm the Wake Forest of the Hilton gym.
You are. That's well said. So, Fitty Barrels, Fitzy, how did we feel? Day 1, we're back in the mix. Like, did the story write itself? Did we have to, were there a lot of mound visits early trying to get in the flow? Tell us how you fared.
Yeah, no, we cranked one out, Coach. It was, I would say it was a 55 anyway. I mean, it came pretty smooth, I would say. Yeah.
Like you were like the LSU fan base. It was just like riding a bike.
I would give him a better than a 55. I read it this morning. I'd give him better than a 55.
Well, thank you, KR. Yeah, no, I mean, listen, that was a hell of a game last night, and it was fun. It was fun to watch. It was fun to write about, and it was a great post game. Man, that Wake Forest team, they got personality. Holy cow, do they have personality? It's a very fun team to cover.
Who was in the post game for Wake?
It was Cam Manassi. It was Bennett Lee. And Josh Hartle, and Bennett Lee was fantastic, so thoughtful, and Manassi is just he brings the same energy to the post game that he does up to the mound. He's just a live wire, man. Like it's like he seems like a guy who never sleeps. He's just like on edge all the time. He's like a pro wrestler or something. It's awesome.
He reminds me of a Varsity Blues character.
Yeah, tell me if you guys agree with this. It was very tense. Playing LSU in Omaha is difficult. They're very, very good. They're well coached. Yeah. They're talented. And their fan base is a real thing. Like this is a home game for LSU in the most awesome way. I think it's really good for the sport, to be clear. But it was tense. And, Wake Forest is carrying around the weight of number 1. And, like the SEC is the villain in our story. And Wake's got to deal with that. Or not deal with it, but they, it almost felt like Wake was playing for college baseball non-SEC division last night. And it's not going great early. But I felt like Cole Rowland and Cam Manassi being, by the way, it's pronounced Manassi like Jack Manassi. It literally says the word ASS in the pronunciation guide, which is amazing.
Coach Walter might be saying it wrong then repeatedly.
Yeah. Right. We all like everyone says it wrong. It's really like Manassi is just more natural. But all that said, I think those 2 relievers being, a bubble off and kind of weird really helped Wake last night. Like, like the whole thing is so tense. And then those 2 kids are out there just acting nuts. And I don't know, like I felt like that took the edge off for Wake Forest. By the way, they're also awesome at pitching. So,
for sure. Go ahead, Cal.
Yeah, I was going to say, how about the play from Brock Wilkin on that throw home? He can't get the ball out of his glove. He makes that throw home, and Bennett Lee. We're talking about Bennett Lee a second ago. Like I don't even know how he saw the ball, because if you look at where Trey Morgan's body was, the ball bounced and they kind of went right across his periphery. So like I don't even know how he even saw it, much less execute the catch and then get down the tag. So that was an outstanding play, I thought.
And Bennett Lee was fantastic when he broke that play down. He was like, part of it, he said, well, I just have great hands. So that was, that's part of it, which I love. But also he pointed out that the ball, the reason, if you watch the replay, of course, Wilkin kind of double clutches. The ball had so much like English on it that it was spinning in a circle in his glove. That's why he couldn't get a handle on it. And so for Wilkin to, I guess, have the I wouldn't even call it presence of mind, but just the instincts to not try to rush and just like take it out and lose his handle on the ball, to do the double clutch so he can get a handle on it and then make the throw and have time. I mean, it's just a really, really, really difficult play all the way around. And it felt like a kind of play that, 9 times out of 10 results in probably an error with all the runners advancing. But at the very least, not an out. I mean, the fact that they got an out on that play is still kind of unbelievable, if you ask me.
Yeah, it was nuts. Yeah, play of the tournament in many ways. I mean, just really, really incredible. In the first game, Stanford kind of got Chase Burns, right? Like it was just, he was outrageous. And this tournament, we've talked a lot about the first round picks that are going to be in this July's draft, but man, like I'm thinking about Jack Caglione, I'm thinking about Chase Burns, I'm thinking about, JJ Weatherholt's not here, but next year's draft on the college side is shaping up to be really incredible. I feel like there's another pitcher that I'm missing that will be top of next year's draft. But all that said, Stanford, 3 straight Omahas is really incredible. I mean, that's it's outrageously difficult to pull that off. But Chase Burns, I mean, it looked like David Esker commented on that in the presser, that Chase Burns was just, I mean, what are you going to do with that as a hitter?
Yeah, and it would be easy for Tennessee too, guys. When Chase Dolander gets knocked out early in that game, I get that he struggled against Southern Miss, and then they came back and won. But for him to come out so early in an elimination game like that, it would be easy, I think, to kind of press the panic button a little bit in that situation. And Chase Burns was kind of the stabilizer. So I guess the good news, if you're LSU, kind of talk about that game, I guess. The good news if you're LSU is that Chase Burns threw more than 60 pitches yesterday. So I guess if it's late in the game and you need 3 outs, maybe. But, I mean, they can't use him very much today. So it'll be really interesting to see how Tennessee kind of stacks things up, outside of Drew Beam.
Yeah. Joe, keep us going on that. We'll do it in reverse order today. We'll do Tennessee, LSU, and then we'll do Oral Roberts, TCU. That works for me.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, to me, it's going to come down to how well does LSU piece together what it has in the mound, because it went for it in a big way in yesterday's game by stretching out Thatcher Hurd, and they got a great start from Ty Floyd, but they really went for it with Thatcher Hurd, and that's a guy who, in a perfect world, they would have been able to hold on to start a third game or whatever the next game would be for them, right? But they ended up putting him in there, so now they're in a position where I think we're going to see Javen Coleman and Riley Cooper and Gavin Guidry. Griffin Herring, some guy from the stands who looks like he has a good arm. Like, I mean, that's kind of where LSU is going to be at pitching wise. So how well they're able to stack that together is going to be key. And on the flip side, their offense is going to have to hope that Drew Beam isn't Drew Beam, because frankly, barring to quote Kendall in the preview show or from earlier last week, unless we get the game of the lives from the LSU bullpen, the offense is going to have to hope that Drew Beam isn't the Drew Beam he's been all season, because if Drew Beam is as consistent as he's been all season, it's going to be a really, really tough ask for LSU. So I'm picking Tennessee just based on the fact that I'm going to go with the fact that, hey, they've got a real weekend starter sitting there and a guy who's proven and it seems to pitch well in situations like this, ready to go.
Guy in the stands with great arms, Joe. I've met Doug Thompson, LSU great right-hander. I've met Rick Green this trip. We know Ben McDonald's here, so if alumni arms are available, LSU.
Yeah, see, look, they'll be fine. Yeah.
Yes. Fitzy, your thoughts?
Guys, I hate to say it, but I think this is probably going to be the first boat race of I'm just.
Oh, did you? Did you?
No.
It's a like Mint said, it's a very slow regatta.
Is a slow regatta.
Yes.
So Jay Johnson did say he feels like they've got 9 arms left that are all available, and they're, like you said, they'll mix and match, do whatever they need to do to win this game and survive. I will say, I didn't actually love what I saw from the LSU offense yesterday. I mean, they got 2. I guess they got one of their runs on a weird kind of fluke line drive to left field that got lost in the sun, and it just felt like with the wind blowing in, their offense was just kind of handicapped a little bit, whereas I kind of liked the way Tennessee's offense looked yesterday. I mean, they had a bunch of hits and it was hard, flat contact middle field. I mean, I felt like that was an offense that I was maybe a little worried about coming into this thing, how they would adapt to this ballpark and the conditions with the wind usually blowing in, and have adapted, I think, pretty well. And so I'm going to pick Tennessee just because I like the way that they're swinging the bats, and obviously they have the Drew Beam factor, which also helps. So it just feels like, let's not overthink it here. Tennessee feels like they're now the team with the in the better position here.
Yep. I'm going to go Tennessee also. Dylan Cruz is the player I'm going to be eyeballing today. I fear that we're watching him play college baseball for the last time today. Clearly, that's what my pick states, and that makes me sad and glad. What a career! What an unbelievable career for Dylan Cruz. Now but he could do something about it, right? Like he's so diverse offensively. They need him on base a bunch today. Like they don't need him on base once; they need him on base 3 or 4 times. So. Kendall, you picked in that game.
Joe, your room service get here?
Oh, if only. My goodness. I had to get my caffeine.
Oh, there we go.
Oh, well played.
Ooh, I was
Kendall,
thinking
delivery.
Tennessee, but I'm going to go against the grain here. I'm going to go with LSU. The thing about it is I was kind of digging into their box scores in their series earlier this year. And, Griffin Herring threw 2 shutouts out of the bullpen against Tennessee earlier this year. Gavin Guidry threw a scoreless inning in one of the games to close out one of the wins for LSU. Riley Cooper threw 5 2/3 against Tennessee. Granted, he gave up 6 runs, but I'd have to break that game down and see where he gave up those runs. But there's a track record at least of some success against Tennessee's offensive lineup from that pitching staff. And I think the other thing too from an LSU standpoint is, sometimes we look at, hey, they got to mix and match is like problematic, but sometimes like throwing different looks at a team over and over actually works to your advantage a little bit because you really can't get comfortable. And so I can't imagine. You bring up a good point, Runes. This is what kind of convinced me. Dylan Cruz with his back against the wall in an elimination game. Tommy White back against the wall elimination game. I think those dudes are going to play well today, and I think LSU wins.
Joe, did you make an official pick?
I did. Went Tennessee. Drew Beam factor.
Okay, very cool.
And can I just say this as well, though?
Yes, please.
Even though they might play well with their back against the wall, I do not like their chances to beat Wake Forest. Wake Forest is like in the super duper driver's seat right now.
Yeah, they are well positioned, no question about it.
They're sitting so good on the mound with, Keener and Sullivan all queued up and ready to go, and then all the other bullpen guys, and it's like they don't even need to think about using Louder again for a while.
And that really has been the maker for Wake Forest is they're just so they're so good on the mound. I mean, it's just really elite.
Yeah.
Okay, let's do TCU versus Oral Roberts. Kendall, you want to kick us off again?
Yeah, sure. I have not seen the projected starting pitchers. I'm going to assume Cam Brown for TCU. At the end of the day, though, I think I'm going to go ORU. I'll tell you what, I've been really impressed with those guys in this tournament. I thought they've looked solid in their couple of games here. I thought they actually looked pretty good against Florida. Florida's just a really good baseball team. I like their style of play. The question for me with TCU is like, as usual, which Cam Brown shows up. And, on this stage, I'm a little apprehensive to pick TCU on the stage with him. But so I'm going to go ORU. It'll be a good game. It'll be a close game.
Joe?
Yeah, I assume like Kendall, I haven't seen starting pitchers, but I assume it's, it'll be on one side Cam Brown, the other Brooks Fowler for Oral Roberts. And he's been a guy for them this year. So I guess that's my player to watch. I mean, this is not just Oral Roberts kind of looking down at the bullpen and saying, what do we have left? I mean, they've got a guy ready. And you certainly like that. With Cam Brown, it's obviously a strong arm. It's good stuff. How good is the strike throwing? And then I think that the theme of this game for TCU is you want to jump out to a quick, comfortable lead and try to coast this thing in, because if you let as Florida learned, if you let Oral Roberts hang around even a little bit, they're going to make a run at some point. They've got a lot of belief. That's a powerful thing. So they just need to put this game away early on. So I'm going to go Oral Roberts on a vibe. That's a vibes pick for me. Going Oral Roberts.
You're very vibesy this trip, Joe.
Yeah.
I feel like you're really playing the vibes.
It's worth mentioning too that Cade Denton did not throw against Florida, so he's fresh. I mean, he can give them length.
Yep. Man, I am flip flopping like a fish right now. Fitzy, where are you leaning here?
Yeah, I have a hard time with this one too, but I'm going to take TCU.
Yeah.
I think that they're just a really good club that has responded well when they've faced adversity. I like the arms that we've seen out of the bullpen for them. So even if Cam Brown struggles, I think they can piece it together there. I like their offense. It's just a versatile, kind of multi faceted offense that I think can beat you in different ways. They can run, they can string together hits. Had 12 hits against Virginia. I mean, it feels like they're kind of locked in again, even though they only scored 4 runs. Kind of like Tennessee. I just kind of like what I've seen from them and the way that they're playing right now and swinging the bats. And so I think they'll carry over to today. So I'm taking TCU.
Yeah, I'm gonna go Oral Roberts. I think the Cade Denton factor that you mentioned, KR. I think when TCU can't use Ben Abel, that matters. Like he's really, and maybe they could use him today. I don't know. It feels like if he's available, he would certainly be limited. But man, he is a difference maker. Like if you've got good left-handed hitters, he is an awkward look for you. But
You know what
again,
it
like,
kind of reminds me
go
of? Like the body style is totally different, obviously, but the way his fastball at 91, 92 just jumps on hitters reminds me of like watching old like Parker Messick videos where like he's throwing like 92, but it looks like he's throwing 97. That's kind of the same vibe I get watching like Ben Abel, his approach, to hitters.
To me, it's like there's a little bit of Matt Perk in there, like just this big long lefty with a weird slot, almost like a Andrew Miller. I mean, obviously he's not as big or
Nick
as Andrew Miller.
Lodolo.
Yeah,
he could be the next star for them for sure.
No doubt.
I mean, it is worth noting Kirk Saarloos in post game a couple of days ago. I asked about how Abel kind of bounces back, and he said actually he's one of those guys that he bounces back really well and actually tends to pitch better when he's been used recently. It's when he takes a week off that he comes back and isn't as sharp. So I actually his pitch count might be somewhat limited, but I'd be surprised if it ends up being a close game one way or the other. I'd actually be surprised if we don't see him in the game at some point.
Yeah. And then Luke Savage becomes interesting for TCU, right? Because he's kind of like it's not the same, but almost like Ryan Bruno for Stanford. It's like you're kind of damned if you do, damned if you don't, where he's kind of your guy, but he's coming off of a tough performance. And, what do you do with that? So, man, I'll tell you I know we've commented on this before, but man, the games this week have been just outrageously. I don't know what to make of that. Maybe it's just we have so many good teams here, but man, you better be unflappable if you're going to succeed in this College World Series because it's nothing but prize fighters at this point. Really, incredible.
6 of 8 games, it's had about 1 run.
And the fact that we can have a 4-0 game in the 5th inning, and it's not like, all right, game over. Like the game is still actually in doubt. That's refreshing. It didn't used to be the case. I think yesterday was only the 5th time in the history of this ballpark that a team has come back from 4 runs down. And that's a lot of games that have been played here in the World Series and otherwise. So, that's all.
Go ahead, KR.
No, I was going to say, one thing that's been refreshing is, one of the big storylines this season, and, Fitt has pointed it out plenty of times, is, like cheap home runs and, high scoring affairs. And I feel like here, like we haven't seen any of that. So I think that's actually really good for the game because that was kind of the storyline all year long. And we just haven't seen that here, so far at least.
And that's the thing is, we are going to pass 1998 unless there's like negative 100 home runs hit this week. We're going to pass 1998 for most home runs per game in history. And that was, -5. That was the height of gorilla ball. We're going to pass that. But it doesn't translate. We're not gonna have any 21-14 games here because of the wind. It's just like it's not Rosenblatt. The wind's blowing in. So we're still gonna have pretty good games. So I mean, I don't love that the game's out of balance, but at this ballpark, the current formula is working okay. So
no question. Yeah, I also, I'll be interested to watch, Mike Monaco ranked number 5 in Joe's, Hilton Gym ranking. It felt fraudulent. So we'll see. I'll be very anxious to see what the rankings look like tomorrow.
For the listeners, Runes is extremely concerned about Mike Monaco being in that 5 spot. He brought it up no fewer than 3 times yesterday.
I know.
He
put some respect really on that name, Joe.
Yeah, put some respect.
Hey, as the number one ranked gym guy, like I think Mike Monaco should be ahead of me. Let's be honest.
You know what? I'm docking you for fake humility when we get to the ballpark. That's
fake humility
focus right there.
Oh, I love that. Very good. All right, gentlemen. Fitzy, it's good to have Fitty Barrels back in the press box. That was kind of just took the energy in the press box up a notch yesterday. So well done by you.
He's like the key reliever.
I'm well known as a great clubhouse guy. I don't know if you guys knew that about me.
Yeah, that's right.
And
Yeah.
so I like to think that I really elevated the energy yesterday. See, that's what we do, Ken. We lean into the non-humility. That's how we do it.
Okay.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, know who you are and promote it. Very well done. Hey, thanks again to our friends at Wilson. Want to remind you, if you're watching us on YouTube, please hit the subscribe button. That is very helpful for us as we promote these shows and the D1 brand. So go ahead and smash the subscribe button, as Fitty Barrels would say. And that is it. We will be back tomorrow, which will be Wednesday. Tomorrow will be Wednesday, will it not? Yes, it will.
Who could say?
Who could say? Yes. So that's it. Enjoy the games, and we will catch you mañana.